I'm so happy to have Dr. Britt Andreatta here with me at ATD 22. And I cannot describe her work. You're going to see what a brilliant mind that it's here with us. And I thank you so much, to share with us in Inside conferences around the world and to Brazil, your work. So, one thing that I'm going to just start asking is why change is so difficult. Why do we resist change? And sometimes we fail to change as individuals and as organizations.
Yeah, so I started researching that after I had gone through an acquisition. Our company was acquired by another company, and I was certified in all the change models, and none of it was helping. I was on this emotional roller coaster. My teammates were struggling. We were excited one day and terrified the next. It was a lot. And so I started doing the research, and it turns out that biologically, we perceive change as potential danger until we get enough information to tell us it's going to be okay. But of course, in our work lives with change, we don't know if we're going to like the new boss or if the new thing's going to work. And so we also tend to resist change until we get enough information that we can start to see how we'll benefit from it, or how things are going to get better, or where we can achieve from going through that change. So oftentimes leaders announce the change, but they don't put all the why behind it or give the information. They just think it's obvious. But to humans, we're always going to sort for how could this go badly, because it's our survival mechanism protecting us.
Yes, that's what I was wondering that, because when we are in that mode of survivors, that we had to work on that because we are here, before all the generations, and that we really survived. So, yeah.
Of the survivors, right?
Yes, but do you think that sometimes this mode could be an enemy for good changes, for us to thrive or to be bold or courageous or innovative?
Absolutely, all the time. In fact, there's an interesting statistic that came out of Harvard that 50 to 70% of change initiatives fail. And that's been true for decades. It's still true. And it's not because the change wasn't a good change or it wasn't well designed. It's because humans have this response of resistance. And what I see a lot of organizations do is they spend time planning for the change, but they don't take the people on the journey with them. So we can get people on board with change. We are hugely adaptive as a species, but we need certain things to be able to lean into it. We need to feel safe. We need information. We oftentimes need training and support so that we can learn the behaviors we need to be successful in that change. So when I work with leaders, I usually say, hey, the change is good. You just need to make some shifts in how you talk about it and how you support it, and then it's going to go a lot more smoothly. And we see really great results when people use some of these strategies.
Yeah, you know what? Because sometimes you said something, we had a very good meeting yesterday, very profound, and you said something that I really think that it's true, and I use and tell people the same thing, is that when the fear that you're feeling right now, it's more painful than the pain to change. We have to change, right? We don't have a choice because we don't like to suffer. So now asking this in another dimension, in a dimension of an organization, because sometimes, the workforce, they don't know what it's hurting the company, and the leaders know, but they don't know. So they have to change, but they don't have that, that suffering. Can you expand on that, please?
Yes, absolutely. So leaders, when they, the leaders of the organization are always looking down the road and to the future and how to make the organization better. So they have the long view and they can see what's coming or what's not working. And so leaders are always pretty thoughtful about, we need to make this change. We've analyzed it. We've looked at our options. This is the direction we want to go. And then they announce that change, but they don't take people on the journey of how they got there in sharing it or announcing it. But even if they do, even if you're an amazing leader and you've done a great job announcing change, there's no getting away from our biology, which even if the change is amazing, humans are still going to have some grumbling and some resistance to it until we're all sure that it's going to be okay. But once that happens, we kind of get on board and we even get excited about the change. So when leaders do a good job, you can lessen the amount of time people are feeling that distress, and you can even lessen the amount of the distress, but it never goes to zero, because humans just have an initial response to change, which is a little bit fear-based and worry-based. But the other thing that we can do to help change is that oftentimes we expect people to change overnight, when really giving them some training and some support, some opportunities to practice the behaviors they need, that's what people need to get on board faster and to be more successful more quickly.
Yeah, because from the perspective of leaders, sometimes you cannot share with your workforce what is going on. So the transparency has to be, it is important, but sometimes you cannot, right? So what do you suggest?
So that happens a lot in organizations, that when you announce the change, there's certain things you can share or not share. Two things. I would share as much as you can. And then the other thing is, when you cannot share a lot, just expect more grumbling and resistance. We'll get over it, but you can't expect people to not still have a reaction. So, and that reaction is kind of proportional to how much lack of information there is. So if you can share as much as you can, also be okay with the reaction that you get, and then just keep supporting people and talking about how it's going to be good, what we gain from this, and that will do a lot. I think where leaders get surprised is they really are often shocked at how much grumbling and resistance there is. And I always tell them, people are not trying to be difficult, they're just being human. This is our biology. We can't really override it. Like, we're designed to do this. So also, if you can just embrace that with compassion and have some emotional intelligence and navigate those difficult feelings that people are sharing, knowing that we're going to get through it, that will also make it easier on the leaders.
Yeah, it's something that we have to, it's a journey that we have to take, right? And do you have any kind of strategies that you could share with us to make our brain our allies?
Yes. So
to thrive and to be our best, and this is something that will be an impact on our organizations. But I think it starts with the individual, right?
Absolutely. Like, in an organization, you oftentimes have the leaders who are deciding and designing change, and then you have a level of managers who are responsible for taking their people through that change, but they may not have had a lot of say, right? And then there's employees or customers or whoever you're taking on that change journey, and they don't often have a lot of say in how it goes, but they're expected to do it. Two tips. One is, if in the designing of the change you can ever involve the people that will ultimately live the change, they're going to give you feedback and ideas and point out things that maybe you can't see from the leader's seat that will make it better. But as people going through change, we can all do a good job of advocating for ourselves in a couple ways. Ask a lot of questions. Make sure you get the information you need, because oftentimes it's not given, but if you ask, it'll be shared. So part of it is asking the questions. What's happening? Why are we doing this? How can we make it more successful? The other thing is to know change is stressful. So when I'm going through a change, I make sure, I almost treat it like the flu, which is funny to say now that we're in the pandemic world. But, I eat better, I try to sleep more. I know that change is stressful to my body, so I treat it a little bit like flu season, and I just take care of myself a little bit more. And then I usually enjoy partnering with other people, like talking to my colleagues who are going through the same change and seeing if we can support each other, or even to gamify it, make some kind of fun experience from it. So whenever you're on the receiving end of change and you're not loving it, there's still things you can do to get yourself on board or to make it a more pleasant experience, rather than just sitting there in the grumbling and the frustration. That just makes you feel bad. So you can do that for a little bit of time, but it's not the best use of your energy. So find ways to turn it into something that works for you.
That's great. These are great tips. And you know what? We could talk for a long time. I love when, I'm learning so much with you. But we have the possibility for people to learn more from you with your books. So it's advertising time. I want you to talk about your books and the work that you're going to be doing in Brazil. So we are very fortunate to have, you and all your courses and your workshops in Brazil. So please take the mic and use it for advertising.
Thank you so much. So if you want to learn more, I've written 3 books on the brain science of success. One is on how we learn. So if you're in the learning profession or you want to be a better learner, it's called Wired to Grow, and it has been translated into Portuguese. I have a second book on change. Wired to Resist is the title, but it's all about how we move through change and how we can do that more effectively, whether we're a leader, a manager, or the person being asked to change. And that one has also been translated into Portuguese. In fact, it's just coming out this month. I'm super excited. The third book is called Wired to Connect, and it's all about what brings out the best in teams and is particularly relevant now to coming back into hybrid work, the importance of inclusion and why diversity and inclusion initiatives are so vital for healthy teams. I'm working on my 4th book. It won't be out till next year, but it's all about purpose, having a sense of purpose in your life and becoming your best self, which leads to organizations becoming their best. So if you want to learn more, I'm on LinkedIn, and I've also partnered with a couple organizations in Brazil that are going to be bringing my training. So look for that information. We have that on our website. My website is brainawaretraining.com or my name, brittandreatta.com. Either of those places, and also on LinkedIn, you'll find more about what we're up to.
Yes, great, because we have to to be connected to you and your work, and I hope to see you in Brazil soon. Yes, and thank you so much, for being here and sharing with us your wisdom with Inside Conferences.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I'm planning a trip this fall to Brazil and other parts of South America, so I'm hoping to be there very soon.
Okay, that's great. So we're going to see Britt in Brazil. Thank you so much. Let's hug.
Yes, absolutely.
Connection.
Thank you.
Thank you, dear.